So 20 people have already joined. Welcome everyone. Raju, can you please switch on your video so that it will be better because we will be taking the screenshots in between. You can share the flyer, Sunil, so that I can start the session.
Able to see my screen?
Mm, not now. Yeah, I can see the
Now?
screen, but the flyer is, I think it is only 81%. So can you make it a bit bigger? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but your screen is also coming, so it should be only the flyer.
Now is okay.
The color is a bit weird, something. Have you selected the full flyer? Because the color is somewhat like it has been selected for copy pasting or something like that.
No.
Okay, no problem. I will start the session because I think the flyer it can be seen now. So I just start the session. So hello everyone. Good evening. I am Shikha Singh, volunteering as Vice President Professional Development at PMI Mumbai chapter. I hold a BE in Production Engineering from Mumbai University, India, and I am PMP certified from PMI. Professionally, I am working at LRQA Inspection Services India LLP at Mumbai and having over 18 plus years of experience in operations of inspection services. And right now, I'm handling global projects. So I welcome everyone for today's PM Forum session. So before starting the session, I just want to explain about what is PM Forum. So PM forums are a format used by Project Management Institute chapters for discussion and networking among project professionals. PM forums can be a valuable way to set up to date on industry trends, learn new techniques, and build re- um, relationships with other project managers. So today's topic for PM forum is beyond grades, and our speaker is Mr. Raju Radhakrishnan, who is a seasoned project management leader based in UK right now. So I'll just give a brief introduction of the speaker. Mr. Raju Radhakrishnan is a seasoned project management leader with extensive expertise in driving organizational transformation and strategic planning across diverse industries. Demonstrates a proven track record in managing large scale programs, notably spearheading a 100 million pound transformation initiative and achieving significant operational efficiencies. Skilled in consulting, business analysis, and leadership with a focus on delivering results and enhancing team capabilities. So I welcome again Mr. Radhakrishnan to start his session. So you can start your session, Mr. Raju, and I am just copy pasting his LinkedIn profile in the chat box so that you can connect with him on LinkedIn. So Mr. Raju, welcome again, and I'll request you to please start your session.
Sure. Thank you so much for an amazing introduction, Shika. And let me first share my screen. And in the meantime, I'll just take this opportunity to thank PMI uh, for, uh, for this opportunity to speak about a topic which is extremely close to my heart. And this is something which I've cultivated myself through my own experience. Um, Before I start, just let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, it's coming along. Yeah.
All right, amazing. Okay. So, can you see the title
Not
slide?
yet. It's blank right now. Black screen. So Sunil, can you try from your end?
Okay.
You can share entire screen and open the slides there.
Okay. Let me
First,
just
you are
double
open the
check.
slides.
Screen. Okay. Cool. Apologies for the technical glitch. But yeah, I was just thanking PMI as well as Shika as well as Aparna, and I wanted to provide my special thanks to Uday as well, who connected me to Shika and Aparna basically to the PMI space as well, PMI Mumbai space as well, and hence I got this opportunity to speak about this topic as well. So, can I just double check if my screen is visible so that I can start off?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay,
But
perfect.
can you
All
make
right.
it
So,
a full slide, like full slideshow?
all right, let me just check.
Yes, now it is
Is it
better.
okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. And yeah, just a word of caution. I'll be looking at the monitor, hence my camera is from the laptop, right? So please don't mind me if I'm looking at not looking at yourself whilst I speak, right? So apologies for that. So all right. So starting off with the topic, right? So beyond grades. This is just a quick overview as to what I'm planning to cover. Starting off from my introduction, I just wanted to touch base on what my personal journey has been, and so that you would get a flavor as to why I thought of this topic called as beyond grades, and why and how did I cultivate this, right? The whole curriculum. There are a few key touch points based on my learnings, which has to do with beyond grades and what you can do to kind of enhance your career. And there are four broad touch points which I'll be speaking about in the session today, and ending with some key learnings, and finally to give you all an opportunity to ask questions, right? So, cracking on with a detailed round of introduction, while Shika has done a wonderful job in introducing myself. But let me take a quick step back and give you a bit more flavor about who I am, and so that you would really know whom you're listening to and why you're listening to, right? So, um, more about me, right? So, admittedly, I'm someone who never aced my exams. My academic performance throughout my graduation, postgrad, etc., have been below. I was always been I've always been an below average student, to be very honest. And right now, where I am is I am working as a principal consultant with Wipro, and the domain is basically into Wipro, into BFSI. Geographically, I cover UK and Europe clients. Um, in terms of hobbies, when I'm not consulting, when I'm not talking about work, business, and etc., I love to travel. I write. I have a blog page, which I'll come to soon. I participate in a lot of volunteering work because I truly believe to give back to the society in whatever capacity I can. And if I'm not busy with any of the things which I've mentioned over here, I do a bit of gaming as well, admittedly, because I'm still a child by heart. Um, Geographically, I was born in Kerala. I did most of my studies, and I was basically raised in Mumbai. So I'm a Mumbaikar, so to speak. Right now, I'm settled in UK, near London. I live in a place called Wokingham, which is just an hour away south of London. Uh, just a quick touch point about the blog which I just mentioned about. So my blog page is called as the Management Athenium. I know it's a fancy name, but what I write about is mainly about project program management. I write about articles about BFSI as a whole, banking financial sectors, and few other short articles as well, which I personally called as Gnosis series, right? So I would highly encourage everyone to just visit my blog page, have a look at the blogs, and take in key learnings. Whilst if you feel that there is feedback to be provided, please feel to comment on my blogs as well. Yes. What I've also started via my blog page is to also provide some offerings, services as well. And the key objective is to help as many people as much as possible. This is purely not for money. This is coming again from my experience, and I truly feel that whatever I learned, I'm responsible, as well as I truly feel that the knowledge needs to be shared with as many people as much as I can. These services are active. I do have mentees, as well as there are people who approach me for quickly have a look at resumes because they might not be cracking on with a job maybe. uh, and the way I do is purely by dialogue. This is not is something which I do just offline with some email exchanges, because each and every one has a different set of requirements, and the only way I can help is via a dialogue exchange. Yes. Um, so that's just a high level touch point on my blog page. Lastly, I have also launched a book, which is not physical; it's an ebook. I launched this late last year. The name of the book, as you can see on the screen, is Project Management Unplugged. Now, how is this different? Is this is unlike your typical literature you would find from a project management standpoint outside. The knowledge you would gain from this book is less theoretical. This is more from my practical experience. So, hence, what I've done with this book is I have um, added a lot of personal anecdotes as well, so that you could trust me. If you read this book, I'm sure a lot of project managers out there can relate as well, because the personal anecdote which I just mentioned about, you'll be easily able to connect as to why the list of wisdom and insights what I've mentioned in my book is there, right? So I've just pasted a few links as well over here. You can search by the name Project Management Unplugged. It's available in Amazon, on Amazon, if you have Kindle app or Kindle hardware, or you can also find the same in Apple Books as well if you are an Apple guy. um, so that's about introduction. Now getting into the meaty bits of the topic, right? So why beyond grades? So like I said, this is a topic which I cultivated myself. I've given a lot of thought about this. Um, Context to this is why and what is beyond grades, right? So, like the term suggests, your life isn't about acing exams. Your life is not about um marks and your mark sheets and whatnot. That's a typical kind of mindset we are grown with. uh, you know uh, no offense, but I think uh, our life doesn't end there, right? So uh, the message what I'm trying to give is, if you're good at studies, great. If you're getting straight A's, great. I'm not asking you to stop studying and just focus on something which I'm asking you to. But if you are someone like me, who has the right intent, who who does a lot of hard work, who tries to study a lot, but didn't try to didn't kind of ace your exams, right? So um, this topic and what I'll be the touch points what I'll be talking about will be useful to you. And my sincere request would be to share this knowledge as well with your loved ones, family. If you have kids, just don't stress on too much if they are not acing exams. Use my example if you want, right? So so that's where I've given a lot of thought. This topic is not something which was cultivated or which was drafted in like a few weeks or months. This is purely from my years of experience, what I've learned, where I was and where I am right now, and uh, purely from my learning, right? So um, I just, like I said, I just wanted to give you a quick flavor of my personal journey so that you could really connect when I would, in the slides to come, when I'll touch base on the few touch points which I spoke about, and as to what we as an individual should do uh, uh, if you're not someone who has aced your exams and blah blah blah. So personal journey. Now, not getting into too much of detail, but I'll just talk about the key milestones from this my personal journey. Yes, to give you, uh, uh, and I'm not making this up. All right. So, and I'm sure a lot of you guys could connect to what I'm talking about. So, this is the year when I cleared my 12th grade, which we also called as HEC. I don't know if it's still called as HEC, but yeah, it's a 12th grade essentially. Yes. Um, uh, 2007 is when I cleared my HSC, and at that time I cleared with pass class. Like I said, I was a below average student. Yeah, and at that time my focus was purely on cricket, like most of us Indians are, right? So we want to play cricket, want to get into starting off with district level, national level, and blah blah blah, which I couldn't. But anyways, my focus was cricket completely. But what happened after that was uh, about 80% of my friends who were really good in studies, bless them, cleared their entrance exams for engineering abroad, right? Like your IELTS and etc. etc. And that's where my first touch point or first realization started to kick in, that oh, with the marks I have, I can't I'm not even eligible to and to opt for something like this, right? So at that time my dream was to become an NRI for some reason, right? So I was young and naive, right? So I somehow want to crack on with my life and want to have an NRI status, right? So um, I I continued with my studies. I got into Bachelor of Commerce. I cleared my Bachelor of Commerce in the year 2010. Again, second class, admittedly, young and naive. Like I say, I used to play a lot of cricket. Um, I, in the meantime, in parallel, I started working with a really small company which was into logistics, and I was very clear with the fact that I wanted to do something on the lines of project management. And the work which I did was at an associate level, where my key task was to create a lot of project management artifacts, right? Like your plan, raid log, and blah blah blah. So I thought if I'll start working early, I'll gain a lot of experience, I'll have a lot of money, and somehow I can have this NRI so called status. Yes. Um, Now, in the year 2012, I was working with this company. Uh, that's where I started to observe a senior individual who used to who used to have his jazzy clothes. Who used to wear the blazers, and who used to always have a travel bag. He used to come early morning in the office, and used to log off and go for their travel like a during the midday period, right? So when I used to work on my PC at that time in the office, and I used to observe this guy, and I realized that I want to reach there, right? How do I reach there? And I didn't even know what that individual did. So I went to my boss and I asked him, who is that individual? And I'm just really curious, right? So um, one thing you should know is I am curious as a cat. I want to know everything. I have that this thing to know what each individual does and etc. So that's when my boss introduced me to a world of transition management. Now I knew what project management is, but I didn't know what transition management is. So that's where my curiosity kicked in, and as I said, I was young and naive. I thought that if I learn what transition management is, I'll be able to travel a lot and eventually obtain an NRI status, right? So um, I learned about transition management, etc., etc. I grabbed an opportunity in 2013. That was my first international trip, and that's where I thought, okay, that's where my counter started, and I'll be traveling year on every year, which didn't happen, to be honest. Now, in 2015, and uh, this was my key milestone, to be honest, in my life, and this is where when I joined Accenture, and I was fortunate enough to meet Mr. Uday Sangani, whom I named initially as well. He continues to be my mentor, and he continues to be one of those individuals who I always aspire to become like. I was fortunate enough to join the mobilization team of Accenture in 2015, and I got this opportunity to work really closely with him for I think good 8 to 10 months. He was the vice president at that time, and that's where I got a lot of learnings. Right, so I'll get into the details when I talk about the touch points in the future slides, but this is where I got my mentor, and I got an individual who I aspire to become like, and that's where my journey started. Right, so um, moving along 2019, this is the time period where, with the help of my mentor and of course with my Accenture experience, my project management knowledge and the kind of mindset I had in terms of managing projects and programs kind of improved, and it was improved to a space where people used to approach me asking for certain help or certain inputs in terms of how XYZ can be managed and blah blah blah. Right. So when I joined Tech Mahindra, I had a similar stance where people used to look up to me in terms of asking for support and etc. And that's where a lot of people asked me, why don't you start blogging, right? Why don't you start writing articles? I never thought of it um, because of my academic performance. I always thought that my strengths were really not about writing, reading, or speaking, rather, right? So, with the help of a lot of people, they really pushed me to start writing, start public speaking as well, which I am now as well. And that's when things started to kick off, right? So in 2022 is where I got this opportunity to move to the UK, work with the clients more closely. And in 23 is when I joined Wipro's consulting team, and I lead the programs for UK and Europe. So um, a few key touch points is how, like I said, how the topic beyond grades started cultivating. I started thinking through this after Accenture, and this is purely from my learnings from um, the day when I started dreaming about becoming an NRI, because most of my friends just went outside of India. I was young and naive, right? I was foolish enough to not realize, to be honest, that there are opportunities in India as well, right? It's a great country, but like I said, it's a fascination, right? So I can't go back and change that, unfortunately. But this is purely an experience from there till date, and uh, yeah, this is my journey, right? So I just wanted to get into the more meaty bits of the topic, but just before that, I would like to share one of my favorite quotes said by Abraham Lincoln, is that the best way to predict your future is to create it, right? Grades are just one part of the journey. And I truly resonate to this quote. Um, you may have heard about this a lot of times, and this is said by a lot of people, that if you dream, just pursue it. Things like that. You would have heard it in a lot of movies as well. That just you build your future, and etc. 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 But I can really resonate to it that if you dream about something, if you have the right mentor, if you have the right set of people to guide, if you have a right plan, if you have a right mindset, you will definitely be able to achieve your dreams. Now, talking about few touch points, right? So there are four broad touch points which I wanted to touch base on. Starting off with, how do you leverage growth mindset? Um, Now, identifying unique strengths is one of the key touch points which I wanted to uh, talk about. Now, this may sound like a typical jargon which corporates may use, that hey, you should identify unique strengths. But trust me, I'll give you some practical examples as well, right? So, for example, one of the key touch points which I've mentioned for you to identify your unique strengths is that self reflection, right? Now, again, you would have heard this a lot of times from maybe your HR team, maybe one of your bosses would have asked you to do some self reflection and etc. But I think um, one key thing which is usually missed in this particular activity is you are not staying authentic to yourself, right? So typically when an individual does self reflection, they would think of what's comfortable to them, right? They would really not think about what are the actual strengths, what are the areas of improvement. Now, classic example is when I did my first self reflection, like more than a decade ago. One of my areas of improvement was communication skills, my presentation skills. um, as simple as the PPT which I used to create was really bad, for a lack of a better word, right? So um, now, why is this important? Is because if you're true to yourself as to what the areas of improvements are, what your strengths are, you can easily kind of work on it, right? Because your areas of improvement would eventually need a plan to work on and to improve yourself. But the other key part is, if you know your strengths, you can really use them to good use, right? One of the strengths I had was um, um, the stakeholder management, for example, right? So stakeholder management and project in the world of project management, as you would know, is really important, right? Now, I knew straight out that I have this strength to connect with people. I'm someone who is assertive but slightly diplomatic, so I can manage relationships and hard relationships quite easily, right? Uh, so when I knew about this strength, I could easily use those strengths in an effective way in the projects I manage and now the programs I manage, right? So that's where, if you're true to yourself, if you're authentic to yourself, self-reflection activity is one of the key activities which I would highly recommend if you haven't done that till date. Yes. Um Second is input to others. Now, this may, on the face value, this may sound really simple, right? Seek feedback from others. Now, uh, the point what I wanted to stress on this particular activity is, it's not only about seeking input from your boss, right? You need to find the right people in your life. It can be your mentor, it can be your friends, it can be your office colleagues, or it can be your partner as well. I do that. I ask for feedback from my wife. It can be anything, right? So even I ask for feedback on this presentation as well from my wife. It's okay, right? So what's important over here is, um, uh, it- when you work on certain things, like for example this presentation, or it can be your project plan, you are so indulged into it that you may not be able to explore or observe or understand what the mistakes can be. And you would have heard terms like 4 eye principle, for example, right? So bringing a fresh pair of eyes to what you're building. Why is that important? Is because it will bring in fresh perspective, it will bring in a different pair of lens, where they could provide you inputs which you may have unknowingly missed while you're working on something, right? So this is really key. Seeking inputs from others, keep your egos aside. Um, you may fall into a situation where the feedback and inputs may, not all inputs are positive, right? So have that fresh mindset, have that open mindset, be open to criticism, because trust me when I say this, uh, a lot of times, if you have um, open and honest feedback from others, and which has a set of actionable items like criticism, for example, trust me, it's really good for you. Because if you're getting only positive feedback from others, then something is wrong, because you can't be perfect, right? So having that mindset is very important. Now, few other things what I would really suggest everyone to do is personality evaluation. Now, trust me, there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of opportunities where you could find and you can work on the personality evaluation. A lot of corporates have, the HR team have these tools for you to evaluate what your personality is. I would highly suggest you to do so, because a lot of tools which especially HR has will, if you're true to it, if you evaluate it correctly and stay authentic, you will be able to understand more um, from your hard skill as well as soft skill as well. What are your strengths and what are your areas of improvement, right? So you can work on that as well. Now, I just spoke about skills inventory. Now, um, one thing which I would highly recommend everyone to do is compile a list of your hard skills and soft skills, right? Your soft skills are basically your communication, your stakeholder management, and blah blah blah. Um, I would highly recommend you to do so, right? And how do you do that is not only from your work experience, not only from your corporate experience. I would highly recommend you to reflect on the hobbies you have. I would highly recommend you to get into volunteering as well. If most of, I think the participants, most of us who is there in this session, who are there in this session, are a part of PMI Mumbai, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a lot of volunteering opportunities given by PMI as well, and I would highly recommend you to opt for it as well, because trust me, the amount of one is you're giving back to the world, which is great. You are helping people, which is great. But the key thing over here from you, as in you, from a personal standpoint, is the experience you gain. Because um, uh, before I started getting into volunteering work, I really thought that it's an additional work to your primary work, right? And you may want to, and my mindset was you may want to put in some time to learn some courses, spend time with your family, which all are great, trust me. But I really undermined the value of experience and knowledge you would gain from a volunteering project. Um, Trust me, just opt one, and let me know what you feel, and let me know personally the amount of learnings which you would have learned from volunteering, right? So highly recommended. Yes. And lastly is passion. Now, you would have heard this a lot of time, right? You should love what you are doing. I agree, right? Because for example, let's take project management as an example. If you don't enjoy project management, then the probability of you becoming a successful project manager is fairly low to medium, right? You could still carry on with your projects, that's fine. But if you're really passionate about project management, you would excel, right? And the key thing is you will also be able to uncover a lot of hidden abilities as well. Because just because you're passionate about what you're doing, you would want to get things right and you want to get things done. And that's where um, you know trust me, a lot of times unknowingly you will be able to uncover a lot of hidden abilities. So that's where passion is really key, right? So uh, let's talk about strategies to harness potential right now. um, to put it in simple words, uh, how do you how do you ensure that where you want to reach, uh, you plan and you reach there, right? So whatever you dream, whatever you aspire to become, or wherever you aspire to be, how do you actually reach there, right? So um, you would have heard this a lot of times, and a lot of corporates does this, that to create a long term and a short term plan, right? And trust me when I say this, majority of us don't have this, right? um, a lot of us would have a short term plan, right? So, for example, if you are a project manager, in like 3 years, I want to become a senior project manager. In like 5 years, I want to become a program manager, blah, 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 right? But if your long term goal is to get into a managerial role or a leadership role, for example, you should also have a short term plan as well, right? So, my suggestion is, whilst you have a long term plan and a deadline as well, because a lot of folks I know personally, and a lot of my mentees, when we spoke about their plans for the first time, trust me, they had an aspiration, an objective to reach to a certain level. But when I asked about when do you want to reach it, they didn't have a deadline. Now it's about, if you are into project management, you would know this very well, right? If you create a plan without ownership and without deadlines, your plans are bound to fail, right? So having a plan with a deadline is important, and piecemealing those plans are also important, right? So have short term goals. It's very similar to creating a project plan where you create a plan right from initiation till closure, and having a set milestones in between, like a gating in between, right? Just to ensure that where you want to reach by a certain deadline, you reach there by um, um, by that set deadline. And secondly, those milestones will clearly give you uh, a, a a set of confidence as well that you're progressing right on track. And if not, you can think about contingency plans, and you can reach out to your mentor asking about, I wanted to reach there by XYZ time. I am here. I don't think so I would be able to reach. What would you suggest? So have that dialogue exchange, and having a plan will really help you. And trust me, I do have a plan. I keep revisiting them, and I keep in touch with my mentors to talk about the plan. So it is very important, right? And uh, the next is lifelong learning. Now, again, I don't want to stress on the fact on something which you would have uh, which you would have heard previously, right? So a lot of people would have asked you to, keep learning, keep doing courses, keep doing XYZ, blah, 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 right? The only point which I wanted to touch base over here is one, they are right. Keep learning, keep enrolling for courses. There are paid courses, there are free courses, and trust me, the amount of free courses there which are there online, there are just plethora of courses, right? And with, at least from my experience with the people I've been talking to, there are I think less than 10% of people who actually utilize these courses. Now, it can be on anything, right? So it not only in terms of project management, it can be like a software skill set. For example, currently Salesforce based softwares are booming. Your service now, your Microsoft related tools and etc. are booming, right? So for example, there are a lot of Salesforce related courses which are free out there. You should really utilize. Now the other thing is also, uh, you should also explore literatures out there as well. So I'm not only asking you to explore for books which are there, you can opt for it, that's the right thing to do, but also explore for blogs, explore for articles. There are too many articles in LinkedIn as well. There are newsletters and etc. Now, um, set some time within your busy days. I know we all are busy, but set some time, keep some time aside, like I do. I have some time aside, on a piecemeal basis throughout a week. I spend some time, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes less than 30 minutes. I just put some time, read through and understand and know more about what's happening throughout the world, and also gain a lot of knowledge as well, right? So keep your continuous learning is very important. Now, a few other bits which I've already spoken about is to foster relationships and seek a mentor. Now, um, what do I mean by foster relationships? Right now, as you would know already, networking is really important which will really open doors for opportunities, and also these are, you know uh, these are chances where these are opportunities where you could get to learn more, right? So you can share knowledge, you can give and take about knowledge. You can there are a lot of opportunities where you would unknowingly learn from your relationships as well. So have that networking on. If by chance you are introvert as well, don't worry about it, just keep networking. I know, if you are an introvert, I can resonate really well that you can't you feel odd to go outside, meet people, connect, like, like an extrovert would do, right? So that's absolutely fine if you are an introvert, but just keep in touch with someone, just have a dialogue exchange. If you want to keep the dialogue exchange objective, that's absolutely fine, but just don't shy away from fostering relationships, right? Mentor. Now, Again, you would have heard about this a lot of times. Have a mentor. But the point which I wanted to stress on is having a right mentor is really important. Now, taking back to the point, going back to the point which I spoke about, having an aspiration and having a plan, right? So I'll use an hypothetical example. Now, if you're a project manager and you want to get into the leadership of in leadership team in a similar space, right? Find a mentor who is already there, right? How will that help you is your mentor would have had a journey which you aspire, which you plan to progress through, right? If that makes sense. So if there is a journey you you're planning to take from in like next 5 to 10 years, if there is a mentor who has already been through that journey, um, the learnings you would get from that mentor who has already been through that journey will be really helpful, right? A lot of us have are making this mistake of having a mentor who is into a different industry or a role or a domain, who will have a different set of learnings and skill set and mindset which may not resonate with 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 the kind of work or domain you are into, right? So finding a right mentor is really important, right? Lastly, I've already spoken about this, but I would like to just refresh your memory on that, right? So gain practical experience. Now, what do I mean about that, right? So your practical experience are twofold. One is what you learn from your primary work, right? The bread and butter what you want, right? So apart from that, I would highly recommend you to opt for a volunteering opportunity alongside with the job. I know a lot of people who have reservations to opt for volunteering opportunities just because of time. Trust me, the time to be infused in your volunteering work is quite flexible, right? Initially, till you understand what your role is in the volunteering opportunities and etc., to get yourself acclimatized to the volunteering work or the objective of that task, uh, you may have to put slightly more time than you aspire to or you plan to, but once you are acclimatized to the whole ways of working and blah blah blah, the amount of time kind of reduces, right? And this is purely from my experience that you can easily manage your time with your primary work and your volunteering experience or the volunteering opportunity you would be working on. um, it just works automatically, right? So please don't refrain yourself from not opting a volunteering opportunity. At least as a starter, I would just advise you to take a volunteering opportunity which is like a basic kind of a project, uh, maybe a starter role. Get a feel about how these things work and how these things can be managed from your primary work and this opportunity. And once you understand how why and the mechanics of it, I'm sure you will start to enjoy this, right? Now, moving to the next point is importance of growth mindset, right? Now, I'm sure you would have heard about this a lot of times, right? Growth mindset. Now, I know this sounds like,
Raju, just sorry to disturb you. There is some one two request that why don't you please click on the hide link on your screen so that notification of screen sharing does not block the display view of our audience.
oh, this one.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Thanks for that. And sorry, I can't see the chat, so apologies if you felt that I'm ignoring your chats. Um, right. So, growth mindset, right? Going back to the topic, you would have heard about this a lot of times, right? So, have a growth mindset. You would have heard this in a lot of your HR conversations, you would have heard this in your town halls and etc. Now what really what does it really mean, right? Uh so growth mindset is something which um which is something which can be developed with dedication, hard work, and continuous learning. Right now, um, this again sounds like something which I've taken from Google, but I can give you a practical example. Right, so with the academic experience I had, I always had this fixation in my mind, or I had a fixed mindset in my head that I have a set list of talents. I have my reservations or a limitation from an intelligence standpoint, and I just have to live with it, right? Later on, when realization started to kick in, I had my mentor, I had my experience, and blah blah blah, is where I, to be honest, started to learn that these things are not static, right? The talents you have, the intelligence you have, trust me, you're undermining yourself, because I did so as well, right? So what's important is for you to have that mindset that the current skill set you have, the current list of areas of opportunities you have, they are not static, right? So the skill set, you can build on it. Obviously the skill set you have can't be reduced, because you can't forget your skills, but um, you can leverage your skills, keep leveraging, keep improving on your current skill sets you have. But then the areas of opportunities are not static. Trust me, if you have a plan, going back to the plan, the point around the short term plan and the long term plan, right? If you know the list of areas of improvement, and about this topic, having a right mindset, if you have a growth mindset, if you know what your strengths are, if you know what your areas of opportunities are, you should also know that they are not static. You can keep building, you can keep working on it, and keep revisiting the plan, and keep your dialogue exchange with your mentor, so that you so that you progress with the plan which you have, and you reach where you aspire to be, right? Now, key few points from a growth mindset standpoint is, like I said, um, these are not your dynamic abilities, right? So um, you should cultivate a mindset that your skills and intelligence are not fixed traits, they are not static, they can be cultivated. Hence why I have been stressing on the fact that it is really important that you know what your strengths are, what your areas of opportunities are, right? Next is learning and effort. I just spoke about it, that continuous learning, um, uh, continuous effort, your hard work, and um, the key thing is you learn from your mistakes as well, right? A lot of folks which have been speaking to, including my team members as well, right? They, first is they're scared of making mistakes. Second is, if they make a mistake, they tend to get demotivated. Now, um, from our dialogue exchange, what I always stress on the fact that um, the mindset is kind of correct in a way that you should always think of how to reduce your mistakes. But I always stress on the fact that we as in humans are bound to make mistakes, and that's absolutely fine, right? Repeating your mistakes is a problem, but making a mistake, it's absolutely fine. But the key thing is, um, the amount of learnings you would have from your mistakes are quite high. Now, I was the other day I was talking to one of my mentees, and I asked him this question that just give me a flavor of your past projects, right? And he was fairly new to the the world of project management, and he said that he has worked on I think 5 or so projects, and all projects have been successful, right? Now, which is great, it looks good on paper, but from a learning standpoint, that's a problem, right? Now, what I suggested uh, was to gain more experience, do more projects and etc., and maybe speak to your boss and have or get into a space or get a project which is like really challenging, right? Now, the reason why I say that is because a lot of learnings, a lot of uh, good learnings, right? You would learn from a failed project or a delayed project or a project which has not which has not been delivered on time, right, as per the plan. Now, um, I really can't stress more on the fact that the amount of learnings you would get from those failed projects are like really amazing. When you do a retrospective on the failed projects, the amount of learnings you would gain, um, those learnings are with you for lifelong, right? So next time when you work on a project on a similar scale or a larger scale, you would always have this thing in your head that, okay, I've learned certain areas of improvement from that particular project, which you could infuse the same in your next project, right? So um, learning is very important. Now, lastly, on this particular concept is positive attitude. Now, trust me, again, there are a lot of movies and there are a lot of areas you would have heard that be positive, have a positive attitude, and etc. Now, um, the reason why, from my perspective, it is very important is to stay optimistic, right? The reason why I say that is because, let's say, for example, if you are into project management, right, staying optimistic is very important because that mindset is very important, right? Uh, Being calm and having a positive attitude that the plan which you have created will work, and when you progress with your plan, if you find anomalies and if you want to revisit the plan, do that. But not having a positive attitude, having a negative mindset will impact your work. And uh, trust me when I say that, right? So um, one of the lines which I often use in my dialogue exchange is, every problem has a solution, right? So if you have an issue in your raid log which will purely impact your go live date in your project, you will have a mitigation plan, right? uh, the mitigation plan can be twofold. It may eradicate the whole issue, or you will have to have a dialogue exchange with your client stating that, here's what it is, here's what the dependency are, let's just think of a plan B. So that's just a positive attitude which I would highly recommend everyone to infuse in yourselves. Now, next slide is about benefits. Now, the points which I just spoke of, right? How will it really benefit you, right? And this is purely coming from my experience, is that you'll be motivated, right? So the amount of motivation you would have on a daily basis um, is increased. Trust me. Every day before I log in, I am so motivated to work on the actionable items for that week, for us and for my clients. And I would start thinking about the again, I use this word a lot, but I like this word, right? Dialogue exchange. I always pre-plan my dialogue exchange with my clients so that you are better prepared when you speak to them, right? So you are highly motivated to work on this project and to ensure this project is delivered and it is helpful for your clients as well from a ROI standpoint. uh, Resilience. Now, this is a point which is often overlooked, to be very honest, at least from my experience from talking to a lot of people right now. Resilience is very important because a lot of project managers, especially who are new to the world of project management, um, they 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 fail to bounce back from setback. What I mean by that is, the appetite to, or the acceptance of setback. It can be a failed project or a missed deadline or etc. is fairly low. Now, uh, the reason why I stress on this resilience a lot is it's very important that you bounce back from those setbacks. If there is a setback, learn from it, have a dialogue exchange with your boss, with your mentor. Just learn and ensure that the mistakes or whatever you learn from it, you infuse your positive learnings, and you understand what the areas of improvements are, and just work through it. Just keep going with your plan, just progress with your plan. There will be setbacks. Now, the journey which I spoke about, which is my personal journey, had a lot of setbacks which I didn't mention um, in my slide. So don't get that feeler that it was all hunky dory, and I kept getting these opportunities and blah blah blah, and here I am, progressing with my plan. It's not the case. I've had a lot of failed projects. I've had a lot of scenarios where I was demotivated as well. But um, having that right mindset, having that resilience to ensure that no matter what happens, you keep continuing with your plan, because keep looking at the end objective, keep looking at your goal. I have my goals, I have my growth plan, I have a plan on my wall here, just besides the monitor I have. I keep looking at it, and I ensure which motivates me as well. So these are the sort of actions which you can take as well, and trust me, it works. um, the other few bits are, I'll just touch base on this at a very high level, right? So innovation, um, your unknowingly we don't focus about innovation, right? But if you have a growth mindset cultivated for yourself, uh, you will have a better innovation overall in your work, right? So innovation is not only means that you develop a product or a hardware or a software. Innovation can be as minuscule as certain refinements in your project methodology. It can be certain refinements in your raid log, as minuscule as that, but don't undermine your ability to innovate, right? So your innovation also gets better if you cultivate growth mindset. Your performance, it's like understood, right? Your performance is definitely improved because of growth mindset, like with the positivity, with your higher motivation, and blah blah blah. Relationships will also get better, trust me. This can be with your boss or with your colleagues, because um I would just stress on the fact that people like to be with people who have positive mindset, right? Because I would highly refrain myself to be a part of or have a relationship with someone who has a negative mindset, right? So I would rather have a dialogue exchange with him and say that, have a positive have a positive mindset, and I would help that particular individual. But all in all, I think your relationship will also be improved with by having a growth mindset as well. Now, cultivating resilience. Now, I just high level spoke about resilience, right? Uh, I just wanted to have a dedicated topic about resilience, because this is again something which is not uh, followed by everyone, at least from my experience. People tend to take a step back from the setbacks they have, but um, uh, so taking a step back, what is resilience, right? So just so that all of us are on the same page. So resilience, like I've mentioned on the slide, it's an ability for you to bounce back from the setbacks you have. Um, uh, and if you don't do that, I think a lot of us uh, face a lot of issues and stress and challenges and whatnot, right? So the problem with resilience is it's not a skill set which you inherit from your childhood, right? So it's a skill set and a mindset which you cultivate as you grow old. It's something which you cultivate from your experience. uh, how do you do that is by these few points which I've mentioned, right? So maintain positivity, have a right focus. And one thing which you would notice is that these are all interconnected, right? So for example, when I spoke about focus, having focus, what does that mean? Is one of the points which I spoke about previously is having a short term goal and a long term goal, right? So having a plan and focus, right? So um, that is resilience. Having a bit of flexibility. Now, this is very important. Now, if I'll use my example, um, and I'm sure many of us would agree as well, that the whole schematics before COVID was different, and the whole schematics post COVID is now different, right? Nowadays, all clients need is generative AI, technology, all digital based services, mobile app, and blah blah blah, right? And whilst these were kind of uh, kind of a sub requirements from a client standpoint before COVID, but they were not the primary focus for them. But the reason why I use this example is because flexibility. Right now, um, I'm sure you all would agree that more than half a decade ago, none of us knew about generative AI, right? And for us to quickly learn about what generative AI is, what generative AI does, what are the risks associated by adopting generative AI, and blah blah blah, uh, is something which we had to learn like in a fairly short amount of time, right? Now, why is this important? Is because you need to be flexible, right? We and from almost almost 2 decades of experience that I have, there has been never a phase where really felt that I know everything and I can take a step back and I keep working, right? Because learning never stops. You'll have to keep learning, you'll have to stay flexible, have that mindset, have that appetite to learn more, um, and have that appetite to be flexible. Now, that's one of the points which is interlinked to you being resilient, right? Now, organization. Now, this is something which I learned from my mentor, to be very honest, right? I remember, going to his cabin when I was working for Accenture, and he used to have this board and with some posted notes, and he was organized. He was organized, trust me. And all I had was like my trusty notebook with a pen, and I used to make notes and blah blah blah. But uh, from him, just observing him, and of course taking learnings from him as well, what I really learned as to how do I manage my time and the resources I have effectively, right? Now, this is a point which is often overlooked, to be very honest, because especially when I was working in India, uh, there is always a topic, and you guys can resonate, right? So there is always a topic about us working for more than 10 hours, 12 hours, and etc., right? And I was I was one of them who was very touchy with this topic, and I really felt that I wanted to give time as to why we are stretching our shifts and whatnot. There is a difference between you working for an X hours and you being productive for X hours, if that makes sense, right? So this ties back to you being organized overall, right? So how can you make use of your 9.5 hour shift to be as productive as possible, and you be as productive as someone who is as equally productive for he might be working for like 12 plus hours, right? Because at the end, what we care about is productivity, right? So organizing your time and resources effectively is very, very, very important. Now, the last bit is proactivity. Now, again, this I learned from mentor, to be very honest, right? So um, he used to always push me to take initiatives and be more proactive about how I can help him better, because often at times we feel that our bosses are asking for too much and etc. But what you need to understand is your bosses have far more responsibilities and accountability than you have, right? they are ideally answerable to whatever goes wrong or whatever goes right. So you will have to enable them to kind of manage their accountability as well. But whilst I say that, a lot of decisions come from them as well. So how do you enable your boss to take that decision? Now, these are few things which can be worked upon, which we all need to work on. But the point around proactivity is very important, and especially if you are into project management, proactivity is really important, because you should have that ability and you should have that mindset to anticipate risks in advance. And if you won't, then the risks will get converted to issues, and eventually what we will see is a failed milestone or a project, right? So that's a bit more about resilience. Now, few techniques is something which a few points which I've already spoken about, so I won't get into the detail of it, but few which I haven't spoken about, I'll just quickly touch base on that, right? So growth mindset, it's something which we have spoken about as a separate topic, so I won't get into that. Self care. Now, uh, when I was told about practice self care, my first reaction to that was with a smirk, with a smile. Um, I really felt, what do you mean about self care, right? Now, you would have heard uh, a lot of nomenclature, especially post COVID, about mindfulness, for example, right? Um, Now, these things are really important, and this is something, trust me, which I have started practicing myself, right? Now, few things what you can start doing is, especially starting off with, have enough sleep time in your agenda for the day or in your plan, right? What do I mean by that is, you would have heard this previously, but trust me, most of us don't practice. And I have started practicing this for last 2 years, and trust me, it does make difference, right? Having enough sleep is very important, because the next day when you get up, you will have a right mindset and a right frame of mind. You won't be sleepy, you won't be tired, you won't feel lethargic, and blah blah blah. And with that, also having a healthy lifestyle is important as well, right? Watch what you eat. Also follow mindfulness as much as possible. You will get a lot of articles online, because I'm not a mindfulness expert, hence I'm refraining myself to talk about how to follow mindfulness, if that makes sense. Yes. Um, but follow that, trust me. Um, the, the the frame of mind you would have every day in your work life will have a positive impact, and I can't stress on this more, that practice self-care. It can be your it can be about what you eat, it can be about sleep, it can be about you spending time with your family, because that itself is will de-stress you. Yes. Spending time with your partner, spending time with your children, um, go for a walk, etc. Because we are so swamped in the corporate world, that we often miss out on these self-care aspects. And trust me, please start following self-care, starting today, trust me. um, then the next one is celebrate milestones, right? So now, uh, I'm not sure if your organization does this, but most of the organization does, is that we do celebrate milestones. Now, what do I mean by that is, not only celebrate your go live of your project, celebrate milestones, your L2, L3, your sub milestones as well, if that makes sense. Yeah. Um, it can be your project milestones as well, it can be your self milestones as well. Now, your self milestone, going back to the same point which I made about your long term plan and your short term plan. Now, your short term plan will have set milestones, your long term will have a set milestones. celebrate those milestones. Now, using my example, what we do is, if I or if my partner achieve a certain milestone, we go out and celebrate. We do that, and trust me, it does provide some level of satisfaction. It does provide a, 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 a sense of achievement as well, right? Because you have worked really hard to get there, and you should really don't shouldn't undermine the sub milestones which you have for you to get to the final objective. Yeah. We've spoken about flexibility, so I won't touch base on that. We've spoken about how you should be flexible using the example of generative AI, which I just spoke about. The last one, on techniques to build resilience, is learn from your experience. It, on the face value, trust me, it looks really simple, but if you which I highly recommend, but if you plan to do a self reflection and stay true to yourself and ask yourself this question: are you learning from your experience? And trust me, most of us, we are not, right? So which is okay. If you're not, start learning from your experience. Make a note of it somewhere. Maybe make a habit of having a personal diary where you can write. Because you would have heard this in your school days as well, right? When you write is when you learn. What you write, because I still practice. I still write physically on my notes, on my notepad, and I don't write digitally. Well, I do, but not as much, right? So because writing notes in your physical book, it imprints on your brain, if that makes sense. Yeah. So uh, s- you use the you yeah start practicing all these stuff, and it'll really help you. Yeah. Now, quickly touch basing on redefining success. Now, what do I really mean about this, right? So success as a word is a very broad term. Yeah. What do you really mean by success, right? And there is a lot of incorrect understanding, at least from my experience. People think that you are a successful person if you are in a certain position, or if you are a successful person if you have reached somewhere like an NRI status. If you are a successful person if you have a certain if you own a certain house or a car, and etc. Right? So, defining what success means to you is important. What success means to others is not important, right? Um, Using my example, I really don't care what others feel about the fact that if I am successful or not. It's about what I feel if I am successful or not. Yeah. So, what I wanted to touch base on over here is just think about what's beyond the traditional metrics, right? So, our traditional metrics, and this is probably coming from our culture and the space which we are brought up from. We often think of success metric as your academic grades, your like I said, your designation, your or how rich you are. But uh, the problem with this is if you have these metrics uh, uh, for you to gauge if you're a successful person or not, it'll create a lot of stress, and it'll often lead to burnout, right? So redefining your success and have a fresh perspective is very important. And like I said, I would repeat myself that success is different for everyone. Success metrics will be different for everyone. Your metric won't be same as mine, and my metrics won't be same as you. Now, one of my mentees, when we were having this dialogue exchange again, I asked him what your metrics are, and she didn't have an answer. And I asked her to go back, just reflect on it, and come back, right? Because me being a mentor, it's not right for me to tell her that what your these are your metrics and work towards it. No, because success metrics are different for different people. Yeah. So key points what I wanted to touch base on, like I said, is uh, have a different perspective of what you mean by success and what success means to you. It can be your personal growth, it can be uh, 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 your lifestyle, maybe. Yeah, so your work life, your personal life with your family, if you guys are safe, if you guys are have a house, if you guys are having a enjoyable life, etc. If you're traveling every year somewhere, that, well, that's a success. If you guys are healthy, that's a success. um, and things like that, right? So um, like I've mentioned, have your success metrics defined or differentiated between what's intrinsic and what's extrinsic. And I've given some examples, right? So what's intrinsic is basically your personal satisfaction, which is very important, which you guys don't do because you just focus on money, status, buying a car, buying a house, and blah blah blah. Don't do that. Your intrinsic rewards are your personal satisfaction. If you are happy, if your kids happy, your partner is happy, that's a success, right? Because your sole objective of your life is just to be happy. But the problem is what happy means to you, what success means to you is not defined, right? Extrinsic is money, status, recognition. Now, like I said, these metrics are fine, but the extrinsic rewards shouldn't be your sole purpose, if that makes sense. Yeah. Do, have a differentiator between your intrinsic and extrinsic, and uh, work towards it, and redefine your success as a whole, and keep celebrating your milestones with your loved ones. And trust me, come back to me with this fresh pair of eyes, fresh perspective, and let me know what you feel. I'm sure you'll be a happier person that you are right now, right? Personal values, lastly, is about your core values and passions. Right now, it can be anything, right? So, core value. One of the core values I have is, apart from the others I have, right? Constant learning and blah blah blah. One of the core values I have is to to be empathetic, to be sympathetic, to help others, like I do for via volunteering, via the mentorship services, via helping others by just by looking at their resume and letting them know what I feel and etc. Um, Other than that, there would be core set of values from a work standpoint as well, right? So client satisfaction, your your the 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 team, your team temperature. I'm not sure if you have heard about this topic previously, but team temperature is about how happy are they and how unhappy are they, and etc., right? So ensuring that my team is happy, my team is happy with what they are working on, what they have, what the corporate is giving, what our organization is giving them, and me as a boss, how am I helping them, blah blah blah, right? So have that core values, just self reflect on your core values and have your passion aligned. I'm sure you will be a different person as soon as you do so. Now, uh, this is again a subset of uh, what I just spoke about. Right now, I just spoke about from a perspective that each one of us are a project management professional. Now, it is much more broader than that, right? So, what I wanted to touch base on is, there are diverse pathways to achievement. It's not a set pathway, right? And of late, you would have seen uh, things like, rise in non-traditional careers, right? For example, your vloggers, for example, right? It is indeed a success, and trust me, it's a tough job to do, right? often you may feel or undermine looking at a successful vlogger that he or she just creates a video and it just clicks, and the person is successful, he's getting a lot of brand endorsements, and he's gaining a lot of money. No, there's a lot of hard work goes behind that, because the content has to be fresh, the content has to be relevant. Your uh, brand connections, the way you manage your comms, your communication with whilst you are in that RFI, RFP stage with the branding folks. Uh, it is a difficult job, right? So but what I wanted to stress on really with the fact that maybe have a different mindset about what success means. It can be for yourself, it can be for your loved ones, it can be for your child, it can be for your nephew, it can be for anyone. Have a different mindset with the fact that if they aspire to be a different, if they aspire to pursue a different non-traditional so-called careers, which is your non-corporate job or a non-government job, right? it- they are not wrong, and there are success opportunities, successful opportunities there as well, right? So I would highly recommend everyone to have that open mindset that the non-traditional careers can be, folks can provide you success as well, right? So vloggers is one of them. Freelancing, right? There are a lot of freelancing work being done on the lines of article writing, newsletters, and blah blah blah. They are pretty successful as well. I have a lot of friends in that space as well. Artisan, right? Like I've mentioned over here, your painters, musicians, right? Because um, what I've often observed is we tend to shoot down ideas which are non-traditional, right? So there are a lot of folks which I've been talking to. They have their children who want to pursue their pursue entrepreneurship. They want to start their own startup in the software industry. Just encourage them, right, and guide them, right? Because you may undermine the amount of experience and knowledge you have, which you can imbibe to your children or your loved ones, right? So share those knowledge, motivate them, because success, again, like I said, success for you can be a leadership position in the corporate, but success for someone else can be something else, to become a successful blogger, to become a successful blogger, etc., right? So just touch basing on that, right? So lastly, I also wanted to touch base on real life case studies. What I would recommend you to take away, apart from the topics which I just spoke about, is the case studies, right? Uh, if I can say that openly, this is the homework for you, right? So uh, go back and have a look at real life case studies. You can just Google these, and you would just get on a plethora of articles on this. Just Google case studies on Steve Jobs, J.K. Rowling. You would know, right? About Harry Potter's writer, Richard Branson. Now, when I read about them, I could clearly resonate because they are the prime examples of beyond grades, which we just spoke about, right? Um, Highly recommend that. Now, just to refresh everyone's memory about key learnings, right? Now, starting off with what I wanted to stress on, and like I've said at the start of this session, is that um, beyond grades is about people who put a lot of hard work and who has the right mindset, but who fail to achieve a certain grade, right? Like myself. But this topic doesn't mean, and I'm not trying to say that grades mean nothing. If you are good at studying, eh, if you're not as well, aspire, improve yourself, that's absolutely fine. But my takeaway is not with the fact that stop studying and go back to work, and you will be a successful person. That's not the key takeaway you should look at. But if it all, like myself, despite of putting a lot of hard work, having the right mindset and blah blah blah, if you are someone who has been a below average student in the past as well, if you are in a mindset that oh, now my future aspirations are limited, opportunities are limited, that's the mindset which I wanted to change with this particular topic. Yeah. uh, we spoke about leveraging individual potential. um, Key takeaway, and again, if I can say that, uh, take this as an homework. Start self reflection if you haven't done previously. Stay authentic to yourself. Really understand what your strengths are, what your areas of improvements are, and just work through it. Right. Growth mindset, we just spoke about it, right? So have a right plan, have a right mindset, have a positive mindset. Think about uh, uh, where do you want to reach, and plan and have the right mindset. Keep revisiting your milestones and etc. You will definitely reach, right? And reach out for help. That's something which is lacking in many of us, right? If you need help, there are a lot of people out there. It can be your mentor, it can be your colleagues, it can be your partner, it can be your bosses, it can be someone on the LinkedIn. Just reach out, right? Don't refrain yourself from reaching out to people if you are in need for help. Because there are a lot of people like myself who have been through this, who has a lot of learnings, who have a different set of skill set and is ready to share those knowledge as well, right? So do not refrain yourself from reaching out for help. um, Resilience, like I've touched based on this, right? Uh, just 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 progress with your plan. That's absolutely fine. When you create a plan, it's not always necessary that you progress as per the plan, right? Similar to your corporate projects, isn't it? um, but just stick to it. Be resilient to what you want to achieve. Be resilient to your plan. Be flexible in terms of what contingency you can fit in, what plan B you can have. Think of how what are the other ways I can reach to the objective you have, and etc. Right. So, and if at all, if you have setbacks, which I'm sure all of us have, right? Have that mindset to learn from those setbacks and rise back again. Yeah. Redefining success. We touch based on this. Success, like I said, I'll repeat it again. Success for each one of us is different. Success for you, success metrics for you won't be the same for me, and vice versa. Right. So have that success. Just think through what success means to you. It can be, like I said, intrinsic or extrinsic. It can be personal, it can be money, car, whatever, right? But stay away from this mindset of having or connecting your success with money. That's it, right? Don't have that straight, like a static view that if I have money, if I have house, if I have car, I'm a successful person. No, because a lot of rich people out there are not happy. But is that what you want in your life? No, right? So define what success means to you and just think through it, right? So lastly, what we also touch based on continuous learning. Right. Now learning is a broad term. Continuous learning does not only means that you just opt for online courses and offline courses, uh, and just and and study, right? uh, Learning is a broad term, right? How do you improve yourself? It's a broad term, right? So it can be from these courses, yes. It can be from your practical experience, yes. It can be from constant dialogue exchange as well, from your mentors, from your bosses, and whoever that would be, including partner. And it includes your academic studies as well, right? So, despite of me being an um, below average student, I would admit that I've learned something from my academic, to be very honest. Like, for example, I'm a commerce student. I know how balance sheet works, right? So it doesn't mean that I don't know what a balance sheet is, what are liabilities, assets, and blah, 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 right? So don't undermine the learnings you would get from outside of your acads and from your acads as well. Yeah. So those were the key learnings from this session as a whole. Now, I just wanted to, before we start with the Q&A, I know we are slightly ahead of time as well. I just wanted to stress on the services which I've of late started, right? And the sole objective is to help people. And trust me, this may sound like a sales pitch, but I'm not. I just wanted to ensure that people are aware that this is something which I'm doing. And if you feel that I'm the right person, reach out to me. I'm happy to have a dialogue exchange. Yeah. So with the management Athenium, that's the blog page I have. What I'm offering is a, a blog service, um, which is about project management, general management, BFSI, and etc. And also, if you are into blogging as well, do connect with me, because I can enable your blogs as well to publish in my blog page as well, right? So we can have that collaboration as well. But that's something which I would want everyone to know about. Mentorship service, like I said, and you would have heard this plethora of times, that I've been stressing on the fact that to have the right mentor in your life, it can be for your career or personal goals as well. If you feel that I'm the right person, if you want to get in touch and speak about um, anything, if you need help, you can get in touch with me via LinkedIn or the Management Athenium portal. Yeah. The other service which I provide is resume review. It's a twofold: resume or your LinkedIn profile review. A lot of us uh, don't give importance to resume and LinkedIn profile as much as we should ideally. I've I have had people approaching to me who have had LinkedIn profile with an odd set of updates being done in their, let's say, summary or profile section, and blah blah blah. And trust me, LinkedIn is very important for networking, for opportunities, for jobs, and etc. Right? So I'm happy to help you with whatever I've learned from my experience, and from my own personal experience, from redefining my resume and also focusing on my LinkedIn profile as well. This has really helped in to get me to where I am, right? So happy to help there as well, right? So I'm happy to collaborate. Again, like I said, this will be via a dialogue exchange. Um, this won't be purely digital, where you send me an email, I would send an email back to you, and that's done. No, right? So because, like I said, I want to know what success means to you. I want to know where you're trying to get at. I want to know what your mindset is, and that's where I can chime in and I can give you some insight. Yeah. So that's pretty much the end of my presentation and beyond grades as a topic. Next, I wanted to spend some time with Q&A, but before that, before I end my slideshow, I just wanted to again thank each one of you to join this session to start off with, and of course, uh, for this opportunity as well. Let me take some names, right? So one is definitely my mentor Uday Sangani, who connected me to PMI Mumbai. I had my first dialogue exchange with Aparna and then with Shikha. I got this opportunity to speak on this topic, um, which is very close to my heart. So thank you, Uday. Thank you, Shikha, for this opportunity. Hoping to have have more opportunities in the future as well, and we'll connect more. Aparna, who's I think is not there in in this for session, but thanks to Aparna as well because she was the one who I spoke to first within the Mumbai chapter space, right? So that's about it. Open for Q&A, and thanks again everyone for joining in. Open for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Raju, for this inspiring session. It's really happy, really was very inspiring your life journey, and I think there are lots of things is yet to come, and we get to know ourselves during this life journey, and then maybe, as you said, you were like trying to be a NRI, and now today you are an RI, so that is a really great achievement. So next is a question and answer session. We have two questions.
Sure.
One is from Prateek Parmar.
Mhm.
His question is: would it be a good practice if we categorize project stakeholders using Myers-Briggs type personality test (MBTI)?
I would say yes. That's a good question. I would definitely say yes. Um, but I wanted to know a bit more about what your objective is, right? So, of course, you can use Myers Briggs for sure for personality test. The second is you can also do something on the lines of power mapping as well, just to get a gauge of your stakeholders, external and internal. Um, so these are the two bits. But yeah, to answer your question, I would definitely say yes.
Okay.
Good question.
Next question is from Jayant Rangari. His question
Mhm.
is: being out of work, that being a resultant of a pandemic and its effects, handling personal emergency. It's a big time struggle to restart a career. Utilize time by upgrading skill sets like PMP, learning always. Is subjectivity ruling the roost?
Hmm. Interesting question. Uh, Again, it's yeah. I mean, it's a tricky question, right? So we'll have to go back to the point which I made about uh, how do you prioritize and how do you handle your time and resources better, if that makes sense. So I was in a similar situation, to be very honest, and it's a fair question to ask, right? So during COVID is where I lost my mom, and I was in a space where I had this opportunity with with the organization I was working for, but my mom was really sick, right? So how do you manage that? Now, um, one thing I would stress on, and this can be different for others, but my mindset is family first and then career. So having said that, um, two things over here if you're stuck between work and personal is again having a dialogue exchange will really help you. That is one. um, I've had a dialogue exchange with my corporate and with my organization, and that's how I could manage work and personal to start off with. And um, reaching out to people, like I said, one of the inputs which I had from this session was to um, having a right set of connections and fostering your relationships, right? So these are the few aspects which I use to ensure how do I balance it out. But um, it is a struggle. I wouldn't say that it isn't a struggle. I've been there. I've been through that particular situation. But like I said, if you have a problem, you will have a solution for sure, right? How do you find a solution is purely up to you. Um, but having a dialogue exchange, exploring for solutions, you will find a solution. So I don't know if that answers your question, but to summarize, it is difficult, but just foster your relationships, and have a proper dialogue exchange, I'm sure you'll be able to be in a better space next time. You're on mute, Shikha. Sorry.
Sorry. Next question is from Anish Srimali. His question is, in this competitive world, even though we know stress is harmful for our own mental and as well as physical well-being, but in the
Mhm.
professional world, we have to face all this and sometimes we are not able to manage it. So how to
Yeah.
overcome it?
Right. So yeah. So again, it's a good question, and trust me, I've been through this as well. Now, the way I overcome this, one of the touch points which I made over the session was, uh, what kind of individual are you, right? So, are you someone uh, who wants to be productive, or are you someone who wants to spend time for 12 hours in a shift and just work through it? If that makes sense, yeah. what I can share the kind of person I am, right? So I never believed in a scenario where I have to work for more than 9.5 hours or whatever is the hours in your offer letter, right? Um, what's important for me is to understand what's expected from me. That is one. When you join an organization, apart from the induction and onboarding, etc., you would always have a dialogue exchange with your boss, understand the expectation from your role from your boss at length, and understand what is his expectation from you being productive, right? How do you define productive is a problem statement you will have to resolve. uh, in the world of project management, it's quite dynamic because our work isn't similar to like a software developer where they work on a certain x number of user stories for x number of story points, and it's a 100% productive for a day, right? Now, if you are a project manager, you will have your plan, you will have your milestone plan, for which you will have your daily plan, right? As long as your project isn't impacting, as long as you are happy with the fact that where you are by the close of play is where you want to be, and if you feel that you are productive and if your boss is aligned, I would log off at what the desired time is, right? 9.5 hours, 10 hours.
It's okay, no problem.
Segregate your, yeah. I would segregate your time. I would segregate my time between work time and personal time. As soon as I log off, I tune out. I don't think about work. I spend some time with my wife. We have two cats now. They need time as well. They are very needy. They need time as well. I spend time with them. We go out every day, and that's how you manage, right? Now, um, I'm sure that's not the answer you may want to hear from me, but unfortunately, that's the action what I would suggest to you, right? Have a dialogue exchange with your boss, categorize what is productive and what's non-productive, what is expected from you. Try and not spend more than the desired time which is mentioned in your offer letter. As long as your project isn't impacted, there might be days where you might be extended when you're closer to your go live, yeah. But most of your days, if you can manage your time and resources effectively, split that and have that mindset right from Monday itself, that when you log off, forget about work. Don't think about, oh, I have 50 emails to read about, I have like 10 things to answer, etc. Don't think about it. And I'm sure you can manage, because when I started managing my time and resources effectively, I can now safely say that I can spend some time with my wife and for my extended family as well. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Raju. Next question is from Praful Puranik. This is the last question as
Mhm.
of now. His question is, looking at the current AI state, how can it improve the overall project management? Are the results provided by AI tools reliable?
Yeah, good question. I whilst AI is booming, um, I won't completely rely on um, AI tools. Um, if you're using AI tools for project management, right now, there are AI tools available online for let's say scheduling, project scheduling, right? Where you schedule your plan, you will have your tasks, you will have your milestones, and blah blah blah. Uh, I've often uh, told this to my team, and this is from my pure experiences. None of us should completely rely on AI because the nature of work which we, as in the project managers or who are in the world of project management, are quite are not static, right? What do I mean by that is AI can be used in the world of, let's say, software development, where your conditions and everything are kind of static, and based on certain conditions they would code something, and they would the AI can get you the desired results. But project management is different, right? Because not every project is the same. Every project is different, if that makes sense, right? Every project will have different set of stakeholders. There is a human element to it. Hence, you can't automate all of the things in the project management world. I would suggest, to answer your question, I would suggest that you don't completely rely on AI tools. Have a human intervention, meaning that you review whatever is being suggested or whatever is being built by AI. For example, uh, AI can be used if you want to draft risk mitigation impact in a certain way, right? So AI can help you if you tell them what actually what's the actual risk and what do you think about blah blah blah. AI can draft you in a quite convincing way. You can use that, but have a review is what I would say, and don't just copy paste and in your raid log and present it to your governance. That's not the right thing.
Okay, there is one request from Deepak Shah. Please share
Mhm.
book name again. So can you just tell me? I will type it here.
Sure. Yeah, the book name is Project Management Unplugged.
Okay. So Deepak, I think you have got your answer. It's his name. Book name is Project Management Unplugged, and it is available on Amazon, right?
Yeah, Amazon as well as Apple Books as well.
Okay, so that's it. I think this is the last question. So thank you, Raju, for this insightful session. And one key takeaway from this session I want to share is to practice embrace curiosity, as you tell, like growth mindset and resilience. So growth mindset is connected to embrace curiosity, which is one of the core values of PMI in whatever situation it is. So it really resonates with today's topic. In essence, PMI's embrace of curiosity is not just a value, but a key element of its culture and how it approaches its mission of advancing the profession of project management. So, thank you, Raju, for this today's session, and I'm really grateful that you accepted the session in the evening, and I'm looking forward to invite you for other interesting topics in the coming months. So I think it is okay with you. And from our
Yeah,
PMI Mumbai chapter side, we are happy to present you a certification of appreciation as a token of thanks, signed by our president, Mr. Jacob Zakaria. So please accept it.
thank you. My pleasure. And it's been a great session as well. And thank you so much for great questions as well. And thank you for being a great participant as well.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much. Yeah, we'll
Thank you.
speak soon.
And yeah, thanks. And for the people who have joined today's session, PDU code has been shared in the chat box, and please give your feedback on the feedback link shared in the chat box already. So for today's session, you can claim two PDUs codes for this session of 2 hours. So thank you once again for joining, and Raju, thank you for your time and session. And I'm looking forward to invite you physically if you either come to India. Just please, because we have a
Well,
yearly conference also for Pay My Mumbai chapter. So at that time, if you come, we can really invite you for a in-person event. Because today's session, I am getting lots of appreciation from the in the chat box that your
great.
session was really very insightful and very different from what we get from other speakers. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
All
Okay,
right. Thank you
bye.
so much again, and have a fab weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.